My name is Leopoldo Cano. I go by Leo. I'm 59 years old and I was diagnosed approximately when I was 6 years old. Well, I was diagnosed, I remember I was perfectly normal through kindergarten. And as I started going into first grade, probably, I don't know, somewhere in first grade, I started limping and I started having trouble with my legs. Started kind of walking like a duck. My my feet started going in like so, and so my parents took me to the doctor, to an orthopedic doctor, and he diagnosed me with this. It's something that didn't really affect me up until my teenage years because I was able to play sports and do a lot of things that normal kids do. But up until the age of 19, when I got my first surgery, is when I started hitting more changes. There's a point. There's a point in the condition where it does become painful, and I guess at that point is when they have to go in and do surgery. I remember two times in my life when it got really painful. The first surgery, because they actually went in, cut out, and you could feel what they did after you woke up, got up out of surgery. After that, it wasn't that painful anymore. In the second surgery, it was very painful. And every now, once in a while now, when the weather's cold, you can feel a certain amount of pain. But what the condition does is when it starts, as you're a child, you start, if you get overexert yourself, you feel pain of, having overdid yourself. So there's up and downs. I guess I've learned to live with pain. My surgery was to help the situation. It's what they call bilateral total hip surgery. The first surgery that they did is they actually went in, they cut out the bone, they took out my femur balls, and they put in what's called a prostheses. It's The prostheses is they put in a femur ball and they put it into the sockets. There's a cup that goes in the sockets, and those I guess they're made out of titanium or something like that, and they take the place of the actual bones that were there before. After the first surgery, when I was about 19 years old, um, my limitations weren't that severe as far as seeing changes in what I could do, because I could still play volleyball, basketball, things like that after my first hip surgery. My second one, which was like about 10 or 15 years after that in Guadalajara, is when I noticed a big change. In the second operation, they pinched my sciatic nerve and on my left hip, so that put me through pain for quite a while. And then it got to a point where I can't bend over and pick up a coin, for example, if I drop it, because I don't have that ability to be able to bend over and stand back up. After the third surgery that was done here at UC Davis, it got better. What I can do now is better than between the second and the first surgery. But yeah, I have limited range. I can't. I'm not supposed to cross my knees. I mean, cross my legs. Excuse me. I'm not supposed to cross my legs because I can't move over like 180-degree angle, because my hips could go out of place. I limp. I walk with a limp. If I walk long distances, I need to use a cane because I get tired very easily. Um, but I walk better than I did. Like I said, after the second surgery, the third surgery did me a lot of good. So I'm better after the third surgery than I was after the second surgery. science has come a long way since my first surgery when I was 19. There's a lot better prostheses nowadays. The recovery is a lot easier, um, but the care that you have to have um, in order to get back to your physical activities are still there. You have to be careful with certain things.
Would you need another surgery?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. With the age that I have now, I'm 59. Um, the doctor said that he thought that maybe, since I'm not as active as I was before, this should be the last surgery, the third surgery that I had. Once that's one of the first things that my parents asked when I was diagnosed with it, and it's not genetic, it's not hereditary. It's just one of those weird diseases that one and every, I don't know, 80, 90 kids, normally boys, get it. Every once in a while, women will get it. It's not that common, but from what I've heard, when a woman gets it, it's a lot more severe than it is in boys. Um, and I honestly don't think it's hereditary because I have four kids. They're all grown up, and none of them have ever had any trouble with their hips. I would probably talk to the parents and tell them I went through the same condition, and I would probably tell them to go ahead and do what the doctors asked them to, so that they could be, um, if not normal, close to normal. Because he basically, what they wanted to do to me, um, at the point when it got to a point where it got diagnosed and I was having really lots of trouble, is they wanted to put a pretty much a half cast from my hips all the way down to my toes, so that I couldn't move. But that meant having to be laid on my back in bed for probably between a year and a half to 2 years, and then I wouldn't have had to have surgery. The condition kind of reverts and cures itself if you are put in total rest. But my dad didn't have the heart to do it. Had he done it, I probably wouldn't have ever had to gone through surgery, and I would have been, practically normal. And the reason I'm saying that is because when I was working at a school district in Gridley Unified, there was a janitor there that also had Perthes leg disease, and we talked about it. He has a very slight limp, and I believe he has one artificial hip that was replaced after years. But I think they did pretty much that type of routine on him, and he was able to play, football and things like that, wrestle and stuff like that in high school, which are those things I wasn't able to do because I wasn't that well physically. But this person that I met, he's younger than I am, and so he had a better luck at it than I did because he went through the procedure that they wanted to put me through. Well, I'm sure it has. I've never let it make me feel any less of a person. Um, but there was a time when I was on SSI getting money from the government, because I was disabled. And I mean, there's times that kids made fun of me because of, the way I walked and stuff like that. But I never let it get me down. Um, I feel that possibly in some occasions it might have made a difference in getting a job because they thought maybe I couldn't do it because of my physical, the way I walk and things like that. But I'm a survivor, and I have a lot of resilience. Um, I was able to, go to school, finish 2 masters, and I'm a school counselor. So I've managed to cope and live with my disability.